Right now on Morning News Now, President Biden on the world stage for his final address at the United Nations. We have live coverage with a preview of the president's parting words to the international body. Developing this morning, a violent exchange in the Middle East. Israel and Hezbollah trading airstrikes in Lebanon less than 24 hours after the country's deadliest day in 2 decades. Now, fears of an Israeli ground invasion. We'll bring you the latest. And disturbing new details about the suspect in the second apparent assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. Meanwhile, Mr. Trump set to return to the site of his first assassination attempt in Pennsylvania as polls show a tightening race with Vice President Kamala Harris.
Did we have to win Pennsylvania? Go out and make a plan to vote early, vote absentee, or vote in person on Election Day, but you got to get out and vote.
Plus, the VP set to outline her plans for America's economy. We will take you on the campaign trail. And one city taking action against what's called deep fakes. More on the first of its kind lawsuit filed against several AI websites and how it could spark change across the country. Important conversation, especially because of the way that it can impact young women's lives.
Exactly. You know, parents all around the country are deeply worried about that. Looking forward to that story. Good to have you with us this morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for getting your Tuesday started with us. We're going to begin our show with President Biden stepping out on the global stage here in New York, perhaps for one of the last times. A little later this morning, he will deliver his fourth and final address to the United Nations General Assembly.
His speech to world leaders comes amid a host of global challenges. That includes wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, plus the growing threat of the climate crisis. More than 140 heads of state have descended upon the city this week, which is keeping law enforcement and the Secret Service busy pulling out all the stops to keep the meeting safe. NBC News White House correspondent Mike Memoli joins us now to talk more about all this. So this is, you could say, one final hurrah for President Biden here at the UN. What can we expect to hear from him? And you sort of say, this is sort of like the long goodbye we're witnessing
Absolutely,
right now.
Especially with a lot of world leaders who he's known for decades, right? This speech to the General Assembly is always sort of like the State of the Union address for foreign policy. So there's going to be somewhat of a laundry list aspect to what the president lays out today, talking about the range of global challenges we face. But the overarching theme, I think, is going to be one that has underscored President Biden's entire outlook for foreign policy. When he was a senator for 36 years, including the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee, vice president for 8 years, and now president for 4, which is the idea that we have so many challenges facing us as a world, that all these problems are so steep that no one country can tackle it alone. You need to work together with alliances. And he's also going to talk about the strength of democracies in working together to deal with these challenges on things like climate change, on global food insecurity, and yes, on some of the biggest challenges we're going to be talking about a lot this week, which are the situation in Gaza and, of course, the war in Ukraine.
Yeah, so what do we expect to hear from him about Israel's campaign now in Lebanon as well? And more broadly, what have we heard from the administration on this?
Administration officials, including the president, keep calling on both sides, especially Israel at this moment, to avoid taking steps that might further escalate the situation, especially in Lebanon right now. Again, the theme of alliances is so important, and working with our partners. That's why the president, before he came up here, talked to the president of the United Arab Emirates. Here's a little bit of what the president had to say after that discussion.
I've been briefed on the latest developments in Israel and Lebanon. My team is in constant contact with their counterparts, and we're working to de-escalate in a way that allows people to return to their homes safely.
Now, there's a lot on the president's schedule this week, but it's interesting who he's not meeting with. At this point, there's no meeting scheduled with Prime Minister Netanyahu, who will be here later this week to address the assembly.
That is an interesting point. Speaking of the long goodbye, last night President Biden was honored with the Clinton Global Citizen Award. I have to imagine that meant a lot to him.
Well, this was so interesting because I was there. It was originally just supposed to be an event. The First Lady was speaking with Chelsea Clinton about women's health. It was a little bit of a surprise that President Biden even showed up to surprise his wife. But then you see the Clintons had a surprise for the president, giving him this award. It really was something that you could see the emotion on the president's face as President Clinton was talking about how it's not just what Biden has done in office, but the way he's done it. The president returned the favor, talking about how much of a fan he was of the Clintons. And he had a very personal moment with Secretary Clinton. You know, it's been a difficult few weeks since he announced he wasn't going to run. And he said he really wanted to thank Secretary Clinton for all that she's done for him. Imagine the private conversations they've been having over the last few weeks. But he said, I love you. It was really quite a moment.
Oh, that's great. Mike Memoli, good to have you here in New York. Thanks for joining us
So great to have you on set. Well, let's bring you more on the situation in the Middle East, where an evacuation is underway in southern Lebanon as people try to flee north to safety. Israel is expanding its assault on Hezbollah, striking dozens of targets in the latest cross-border attacks. This escalation is stoking fears of a broader Middle Eastern conflict as more U.S. troops will deploy to the region in the coming days to assist Americans looking to flee. This comes a day after Israeli airstrikes targeting the militant group. Lebanese health officials say those strikes killed almost 500 people and wounded 1,600 others. That made Monday the deadliest day in the country in nearly 2 decades.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu took the step of issuing a rare evacuation order and a strong warning to the people of Lebanon on Monday.
I have a message for the people of Lebanon. Israel's war is not with you. It's with Hezbollah. Don't let Hezbollah endanger your lives and the lives of your loved ones. Don't let Hezbollah endanger Lebanon.
NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us now with more on this. Raf, good morning. Tell us about where you are right now and the latest attacks overnight.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. We're in one of the communities in northern Israel where a Hezbollah rocket came crashing through Israeli air defenses. It landed in the middle of a residential street. I just want to walk you through the scene here. The rocket actually landed right here. You can see workers are, as we speak, repaving, recobbling this place. But this rocket spraying shrapnel all over the area. Some houses very severely damaged, not from a direct impact, but from just the fragments of that rocket flying off. Now, nobody has been killed on the Israeli side of the border since this escalation began a couple of days ago. That is not the case in Lebanon. Health officials there say more than 500 people have been killed over just the last 24-plus hours. That is, as you said, by far the deadliest day in Lebanon since the end of the last war between Israel and Hezbollah back in 2006. You might be able to hear the crashing as this is kind of an active work site. Israeli strikes are continuing in Lebanon today. They seem to be at a lower tempo than they were yesterday when there were well over 1,000 strikes. But the big question at this point is how and at what scale will Hezbollah respond, and will Israeli forces move into Lebanon on the ground? Guys.
Just an incredible scene behind you there, Raf. Despite the high number of casualties in Lebanon, as you mentioned, you say the IDF says strikes aimed at Hezbollah targets in the region are not over. Do we have an idea of what the next phase is going to look like?
So, Joe, the Israeli government has said the goal here is to create conditions for Israeli civilians displaced from their homes on this side of the border to go back. And they say the only way that can be achieved is if Hezbollah fighters are pushed away from the border. And the big question is, can that be done from the air, or will it be the case that we see Israeli forces rolling over the border into Lebanon as they did in 2006, as they did back in 1982? I spoke to 2 Israeli members of parliament who came to visit this scene earlier today. One of them is from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's party. The other is from the opposition. And I asked both of them, is Israel about to invade Lebanon on the ground? Neither of them would rule that out. So the whole world, including the White House, watching to see what this next Israeli move will be. Guys.
Raf, we have seen the Prime Minister warn the people of southern Lebanon to evacuate. It seems like many are trying to do that. What kind of humanitarian situation are we looking at on the ground? Do people have somewhere to go?
It is just a dire situation, Savannah, and it has escalated so quickly. You are seeing thousands of Lebanese families packing what they can into their cars, getting on the highways and fleeing north, trying to get away from the fighting. Israel says it is doing what it can to minimize civilian casualties, that it has warned Lebanese civilians to get out of harm's way. But there are dozens of children who were killed in yesterday's strikes. Dozens of women have been killed also. And you are seeing mounting criticism around the world that rather than escalating in Lebanon, what Israel should be doing is focusing on getting to a ceasefire in Gaza, getting the hostages home, and trying to calm the overall situation here in the Middle East. Guys.
Raf Sanchez, thank you so much for your reporting. Please stay safe.
Back stateside, federal prosecutors are revealing some chilling new details about the man accused in that apparent attempt to assassinate former President Trump at his Florida golf course. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch has more on the alleged plot.
Federal prosecutors revealing in the month leading up to his arrest, Ryan Ruth repeatedly showed up near former President Donald Trump's South Florida home and golf course. Authorities say the 58-year-old was in the area for one reason only: to kill former President Trump. A new filing alleges months ago, Ruth gave someone this handwritten letter addressed to the world, which says in part, "This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I am so sorry I failed you." Prosecutors say last Sunday, Ruth hid here in a sniper's nest next to Mr. Trump's golf course until a Secret Service agent spotted Ruth along the unsecure fence line, saw the barrel of a rifle aimed directly at him, jumped out of the golf cart, and fired at Ruth.
This evil would-be assassin got within a few hundred yards of where I stood.
Driver, walk straight back!
Prosecutors say 2 additional license plates, 6 cell phones, and 12 pairs of gloves were found in Ruth's getaway vehicle, along with a list of some of Mr. Trump's upcoming appearances. In federal court, a judge ruled Ruth will remain behind bars while awaiting trial. So far, he faces 2 federal weapons charges, but prosecutors say they'll soon present evidence of an attempted assassination charge to a grand jury. In a statement, the former president saying he does not trust the Department of Justice and FBI to investigate, writing they have a conflict of interest since they have been obsessed with getting Trump for so long. An FBI special agent said he is not aware of any surveillance video showing Ruth holding that rifle at the scene. The agent also said there has not yet been any handwriting analysis completed linking Ruth to that concerning letter.
All right, Jesse Kirsch, thank you.
We are also getting a better idea this morning of what voter turnout might look like on Election Day.
NBC News just put out a new poll that shows half of all likely voters do plan to cast their ballots early.
For more, let's bring in NBC News senior political editor Mark Murray. Mark, good morning. So, yes, half of all voters say they're planning to cast their ballots early, but the numbers, they are showing a big split over who they are voting for. What can you tell us?
Yes, Savannah, this looks a lot like 2020, of course, during the COVID pandemic, where our poll shows about half of voters say that back then that they would end up voting early, either by mail or by in-person ballot. But what is striking is Republicans overwhelmingly are Election Day voters, and the early voters are overwhelmingly Harris voters. And that pattern played out obviously in the 2020 race too. And so, you know, there has been a concerted effort by Republicans to try to vote early. The Republican National Committee wants their voters to vote early, but by and large, Trump voters seem to be Election Day voters, according to our poll.
So, Mark, I mean, this is nothing new. History tells us this is a pretty common trend. Why is there this rift between Democrats and Republicans when it comes to voting early?
Yeah, it all has to do with Donald Trump, Joe. You end up looking at the rhetoric that he ended up having going back to the COVID pandemic, casting doubt and aspersions on early voting, on mail-in ballots. And that had an effect where his voters and his fans said, hey, I'm going to wait until Election Day to vote. And we saw a pattern play out in 2020, Joe, where the states, the ballot releases that came from the early vote were overwhelmingly Democratic, overwhelmingly pro-Biden. And then the Election Day releases were overwhelmingly Republican and overwhelmingly Trump. And our poll shows that at least right now, that same kind of dynamic might end up playing out in November.
Looking at these numbers, do you think that they point to viewers kind of generally feeling less enthusiastic about voting for the former president?
Yeah, Savannah, our poll actually, when we gauge enthusiasm and election interest, our poll shows almost a kind of a tie between Republicans and Democrats on which party is more enthusiastic. This is all about voter intent, how you're planning to cast your ballot. Are you going to vote early? Or are you going to vote on Election Day? And, you know, I think that to me, the biggest consequence of this is for us, just like we were in 2020, to once again be prepared that we're going to have these wild swings, that when counties and states release the early ballots and the early votes, they're going to be overwhelmingly Democratic. And then when they release the Election Day ballots, they might be overwhelmingly Republican and Trump. And of course, we're going to continue to watch this dynamic play out. But this seems to be the case 2 months before the election.
Mark Murray, as always, we appreciate you. Thank you.
New FBI data shows that crime dropped nationally between 2022 and 2023.
According to the agency's annual Summary of Crime in the Nation report, it includes murder and other violent crime. This comes as preliminary numbers for 2024 are also seeing a decline for the early part of the year.
NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Dateline joins us now with more on this. Ken, good morning. So walk us through this latest FBI data. What other types of crime are falling and which kinds are rising?
Good morning, Joe and Savannah. This report looks at crime across the board, and it shows that violent crime declined by 3% over the last year, and murder declined by a stunning 11.6%. That's the largest single-year drop ever on record. It also showed that property crime is down. The only category of crime that it shows being up significantly is auto thefts. And what's more important than any single-year trend is that this reflects a multi-year trend. After crime spiked during the pandemic, it's really gone back down to pre-pandemic levels of around 2019, which historically is extremely low compared to, say, the 1990s. Much fewer violent incidents, many fewer murders. And just last year, there were 2,500 fewer murders than there were the year before, guys.
Ken, crime is, of course, a big issue for voters. It's been one specifically of former President Trump's ways of sort of attacking Vice President Harris and the Biden administration. First, let's listen to some of what he had to say last month. He was campaigning in Michigan here.
We're here today to talk about how we are going to stop the Kamala crime wave that is going on at levels that nobody's ever seen before. Since Comrade Kamala Harris took office, her administration's crime statistics show she's presided over a 43% increase in violent crime.
So first, Ken, fact check that for us, but then also tell us what else both candidates have been saying since then about crime.
So, Savannah, it's just not true. It's not based on a fantasy, though. Donald Trump is cherry-picking some numbers from a Justice Department survey that tries to measure both reported and unreported crime. But during COVID, they couldn't survey people at home, and they got very strange numbers in 2020 and 2021. They said that crime was declining when actually murder was skyrocketing. This survey doesn't measure murder. And so Donald Trump is comparing 2020 to later years and showing this huge rise in crime. Most experts you talk to say that's just not the case. And in fact, if you want to just look at murder, because you can argue that many crimes aren't reported, every murder is counted in this country. Murder has plummeted from its highs in 2020, guys.
So, Ken, big picture, how does the public perception of crime tie in with these facts, with this data? And what do officials say these numbers mean?
So Joe Biden, Attorney General Merrick Garland, they've obviously celebrated this historic decline in crime. But more important than politicians, look, Americans just don't believe these numbers. Polls have consistently shown that. A few months ago, a Gallup poll showed that 77% of Americans believe that crime is still rising. And when you ask experts and criminologists about this, they blame local news coverage, which has been really a phenomenon for decades. If it bleeds, it leads. They also blame, though, social media. If you're on sites like Nextdoor, you only hear about the packages that were stolen. You don't hear about the ones that were delivered. So there's a real perception problem, but the data doesn't lie, and the data shows that violent crime is declining, guys.
All right. Ken Delaney and Ken, thank you so much.
Well, the gunman who shot and killed 10 people at a supermarket in Boulder, Colorado 3 years ago has been sentenced to 10 back-to-back sentences of life in prison without the possibility of parole. 25-year-old Ahmad Alyssa will serve one sentence for each murder count after a jury rejected an insanity defense and convicted him of murder. Alyssa was found guilty on all 55 charges against him, including 10 counts of first-degree murder for the assault in March of 2021. He used a semi-automatic pistol to open fire on people at the grocery store before police shot him in the leg and arrested him.
Take a closer look at the potential tropical cyclone system developing in the Caribbean and how it might impact your week.
Angie Lassman's with us in studio with your Morning News Now weather. Hey there.
Hi, guys. This is going to be something that we watch closely with potential widespread impacts across parts of the southeast and specifically Florida over the coming days. We, of course, have plenty of tropical alerts up. Notice where those hurricane watches have just been added, parts of the Big Bend area stretching down to the Gulf Coast of Florida. So these are the alerts that we have right now. But here's the current situation. We've got kind of this organized area of thunderstorms that is what we're calling potential tropical cyclone 9. That means that we likely are looking at some intensification and a tropical storm developing here as we get going through the rest of your day. But as for right now, winds are at 35 miles per hour and it's moving northwest at 8 miles per hour. Here's the current track. There's that tropical storm developing here as the day goes on. But notice what happens by the time it exits the northwestern Caribbean Sea and works into those very warm Gulf waters. We've been talking about this all season long. The Gulf is just basically fuel for any system that's going to spend an extended amount of time over it or even a short amount of time. We likely will be looking at rapid intensification happening with this system before it makes landfall. Now, that means that we'll likely be looking at a Category 3, a major hurricane making landfall in the state of Florida. Where exactly the center of that system is, well, that's to be determined, and we'll get kind of a better viewpoint of what that exactly looks like as the next couple of days goes on. But right now, anywhere from the Panhandle through the Big Bend area and down to the west coast of Florida, specifically the Tampa area and points north of that, that's where we're looking for the center of that system to make landfall. Beyond that, it will, of course, weaken as it spends some time over land, but it's still going to have widespread impacts. One thing about this system is it's going to be quite large, so those impacts are going to be far-reaching, not just when you have a really small storm. Most of the worst of it is closer to the core. This is going to be quite expansive. So one of the things we're going to watch for, of course, the heavy rainfall. We'll see localized amounts up to 10 inches in some spots. And again, that's spread across much of the southeast. Notice the storm surge forecast right now, 10 to 15 feet. Of course, this is really dependent on where that center of the system comes on shore, but impressive nonetheless. We'll likely see those storm surge impacts, even if the center of it goes up towards the Big Bend area, down towards Tampa Bay. That'll be something that we'll have to watch for at least some storm surge impacts. On top of that, the winds. We're likely going to see the downed trees, the downed power lines. This will be an issue. Again, closer to the center will be the worst of the winds, hurricane force winds. But you'll notice places like Cedar Key, peak wind gusts could be upwards of 90 miles per hour. This is going to be something we deal with here as we get through the later parts of your Thursdays when we're looking at landfall. But again, those impacts will last over the next couple of days. Now, big picture look otherwise, besides the tropics, we've got a system that's working through the Ohio and Tennessee valleys, and that's where we're going to watch for some thunderstorms today, guys. A little bit of rain we'll have to deal with, and that severe risk, again, focused Kentucky, West Virginia. We're mainly looking at some wind gusts and some hail, but the tornado threat is low.
I saw a little rain yesterday, and I was like, what's this?
Just a little bit.
Water from the sky.
It's been a long stretch in New York City without rain. Came
to
an end yesterday.
I like your outfit.
Yeah,
you got the memo.
It's like we called each other.
Yeah, we did not. Thanks, Angie. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, a worldwide concern, the alarming new study shedding light on the growing issue of mental health.
Up first after the break, controversy on Capitol Hill, the high-profile hearing over the Supreme Court's decision to grant some immunity to former President Trump. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. We're following what's expected to be another busy day on Capitol Hill with several high-profile hearings happening in both the House and the Senate.
The Senate Judiciary Committee will hold a hearing focused on a momentous decision by the Supreme Court over the summer. That decision granted broad immunity to former President Trump in his election interference case. Meanwhile, House Republicans are once again calling on Secretary of State Antony Blinken to testify on the withdrawal of American troops from Afghanistan. And they're threatening to hold the secretary in contempt if he does not show up.
Let's get into it with NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale and start right there with that subpoena for Secretary of State Antony Blinken. Ali, good morning. So he's obviously faced harsh criticism from Republicans in the past over that 2021 withdrawal. Do we know if he's actually planning on testifying? And what does being held in contempt mean for a sitting Secretary of State if he ultimately doesn't show up?
Hey guys, good morning. Yeah, lots of hearings on Capitol Hill as lawmakers try to hit all of their priorities before they end up going home to campaign before the November elections. Starting with Secretary Blinken is the right thing because this is probably the thing that's been going on the longest on Capitol Hill. You have seen repeatedly the head of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Mike McCall, try to get Blinken before his committee. Blinken, of course, has testified on Capitol Hill about the Afghanistan withdrawal in the past, but specifically in regards to this committee's requests, he says that this date just didn't work for him. He's at the UN General Assembly. The State Department's explanation of that is that those dates have been public for a while. That's why he's not here on Capitol Hill. For McCall and the rest of the committee, that might not be good enough. We might see them today finally move on holding him in contempt. And look, contempt can be as serious as why Steve Bannon is currently in jail for defying a congressional subpoena. But we've also seen other members of the Biden administration held in contempt too. specifically the Attorney General, and the Department of Justice has the right to say we will or will not move forward to prosecute on this. Obviously, in the case of Steve Bannon, who defied the January 6th committee, both for an in-person and records request 2 years ago, he is currently serving out that sentence. Clearly, DOJ decided to prosecute there. In the case of their Attorney General, a much more awkward situation, and also an instance where the DOJ said we're going to decline to prosecute. The details are different. Obviously, we're in the early stages of this here with Blinken. McCall has continuously showed that he would just rather get the testimony than continue to move forward here. The Blinken team trying to keep that conversation alive. We'll see where this ultimately goes, though.
Allie, let's talk about another major hearing set for today. The Senate Judiciary Committee, which is chaired by Democrats, is going to look at the Supreme Court's controversial immunity decision from this summer. That decision basically said former President Trump does have some immunity from criminal prosecution over actions taken when he was in the White House. Who's expected to testify here? And really, what's the point of Congress even looking at this?
The point of Congress looking at it, as one of the senators on the committee said, is to show how the decision sucks. Those are his words, not mine. But it does provide a really good landscape of what Democrats are trying to do here with this hearing. Mainly, you'll hear from legal scholars, historians, people who can sort of look at what's been and think about what could be with this kind of precedent set from the Supreme Court. All of this is meant to tease out what happens when you start giving presidents immunity for effectively most, if not all, of their official acts. I imagine what we're going to see here is both looking backwards and applying this decision to things that happened during the Trump term from 2017, obviously, until 2020, but then also trying to apply it going forward and kind of cast a vision for voters and for people who are watching this hearing of what this decision could mean. I also, if I were a betting woman, would say that they're probably going to also talk about a Supreme Court code of conduct, especially in regards to the justices that are currently sitting on this Supreme Court. But all of this meant to sort of make a Supreme Court decision that might seem irrelevant to some voters, very central as they start considering their vote in November.
Allie, one more to check off with you. The CEO of the company behind popular weight loss drugs, Ozempic, Wegovy, also set to testify this morning on Capitol Hill, talking about the government's role in setting prescription drug prices. What should we be watching for out of that one?
Yeah, this is led by the Senate Help Committee, specifically Senator Bernie Sanders. And the way that you can think about this is, yes, it is in regards to Novo Nordisk and the Wegovy drugs, those weight loss drugs that are so popular. They are basically there because those drugs are sold in the United States at sometimes 3 times the cost of what you can get them for in Europe. That's one of the key reasons that Sanders is hauling the CEO before the committee today to try to talk about why those prices are so high. But you can also kind of put this under the larger umbrella of what Democrats have tried to do over the course of the last few years, trying to talk to the heads of these companies, publicly put them before the United States and before Americans, and then try to bring those drug costs down. One example that I will give you quickly is when they were able to cap the price of insulin at $35. Democrats now taking that promise on the campaign trail, but that is something with tangible impacts for Americans. That's why they're trying to look at this drug, which a lot of Americans are using now.
Allie Vitale, interesting stuff. Thank you for covering truly all of it this morning for us.
Down in Florida, the fight over abortion rights is heating back up. It's all over a ballot initiative called Amendment 4 that would extend the state's current 6-week ban on most abortions to around 24 weeks. Millions in Florida have signed petitions in support of it, but the state's government is alleging some of those signatures are actually fraudulent. Now, a statewide investigation is underway, but some Democrats are crying foul. NBC News correspondent Marissa Parra has the latest.
A battle is brewing over signatures on Florida's abortion ballot petition, while Florida's Republican leadership questions some of the signatures' validity.
Anyone that is trying to commit fraud in this process absolutely should be held accountable.
Abortion rights advocates are calling the efforts voter intimidation.
The government is using the hands of power to intimidate voters by knocking on people's doors at all hours of the day and night to verify their signatures.
If 60% of Florida voters vote yes on Amendment 4 in November, Florida's current law banning most abortions after 6 weeks would change to the point of viability, roughly 24 weeks. The petition to get Amendment 4 on the ballot to begin with had nearly 1 million signatures verified by the Florida Division of Elections in January. But 7 months later in July, Brad McVeigh with the Florida Department of State sent this letter, along with suspected fraudulent petitions to Florida's law enforcement, saying some of the above-named circulators also signed petitions on behalf of individuals who were deceased at the time the petition was allegedly signed. Now, some of those who really did sign are finding police at their door. NBC News spoke with Fort Myers resident Isaac Menashe, who told us a detective showed up at his home. Writing in part in a post, the experience left me shaken. What troubled me was he had a folder on me containing my personal information, about 10 pages. Troubling that so much resources were devoted to this. His local supervisor of elections told our NBC affiliate in Fort Myers he was never in the know.
I had no idea that there was any type of investigation.
The Office of Election Crimes and Security confirms 4 people in the state have been arrested and charged with petition fraud in connection with the abortion ballot, which Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says is the only purpose of the investigation.
Anyone who submitted a petition accurately that's a valid voter is totally within their rights to do it. What they're investigating is fraudulent petitions.
And the petition investigation is not the only form of state resources currently facing criticism around the issue of abortion. Florida's healthcare administration has been publishing videos like this one.
A woman can go to jail for having an abortion,
which Amendment 4 advocates like Florida's Democratic Party chair are calling taxpayer-funded anti-abortion propaganda.
The state government is using every tactic in order to intimidate voters, whether it was the petition gatherers, petition signatures, or now misinformation, propaganda, and illegal usage of state resources and state taxes to take that amendment down.
DeSantis says the state agency PSAs are providing, quote, accurate information. Now, Florida Representatives Maxwell Frost and Debbie Wasserman Schultz have asked the Department of Justice in a letter to investigate, quote, the Florida government's recent abuses related to Amendment 4, with just weeks to go until voters head to the polls.
Our thanks to Marissa Parra for that report. Coming up, one city cracking down on deep fake pornographic images.
Do you really think there's a chance you can get these websites shut down?
Absolutely.
When we come back, I'll take you to San Francisco, where the city attorney is working to shut down some of the worst offending websites. This is Morning News Now. We are back with a first-of-its-kind lawsuit in San Francisco. The city attorney's office is suing more than a dozen websites that use artificial intelligence to create fake nude photos of women and girls without their consent. I spoke with the city attorney, and he says not only do these websites perpetuate bullying, but they violate multiple pornography laws.
How was the math test?
Yvonne Mere's first priority is being a mom. So a particular New York Times article shocked her.
About a 15-year-old girl whose life had been devastated by a non-consensual image of her that was nude.
That image was what's known as a deep fake, a picture that may be created with a real face, but using artificial intelligence to make a fake body.
When I read it, my own daughter, who's now 16, I thought to myself, this would be horrible.
Mere happens to be in a position to do something about it. In addition to being a mom, she's a top litigator in the San Francisco City Attorney's Office. She shared the article with her colleague, fellow mom and lawyer Sarah Eisenberg.
How does this work?
So there's a lot of different ways. I can take a picture of anyone, anytime.
You can take a picture of a girl going to prom.
I can grab it off of her social media page without her even knowing that I have taken it. Go to any number of these websites that are out there and just upload that picture, and it will use artificial intelligence to undress that person.
Mere and Eisenberg's boss, City Attorney David Chu, gave them the go-ahead to pursue legal action against the practice. They say it resulted in a first-of-its-kind lawsuit naming 16 top websites that create and distribute fake nude images of women and girls without consent.
What we found truly horrified us. There have been over 200 million visitors in just these 16 websites alone.
What do you understand that impact to be?
We know that these images have been used to bully, humiliate, and threaten women and girls. The impact on these victims cannot be underestimated.
Those victims range from massive superstars to high school girls across the country. The suit alleges the practice is not just harmful, it's illegal. They argue even the marketing used by the websites obliterates any notion of consent, pointing out one defendant's advertising. Imagine wasting time taking her out on dates when you can just use the website to get her nudes. Contact information for most of the companies named in the lawsuit could not be found.
They have violated deepfake pornography laws, child pornography laws.
Do you really think there's a chance you can get these websites shut down?
Absolutely. I don't think there's anyone who defends what is happening here. We're talking about everyday people who are seeing their faces turned into pornography and, in too many instances, child pornography.
For Marie and Eisenberg, it's a labor of love, both for their constituents and a little closer to home.
You want to make a difference. You want to look back. I get choked up, like you want to make a difference. This makes a difference.
Do you think about your daughter when you feel that way?
I do. I think about my daughter, and I want her to be proud of me. I want her to be proud of what the office does.
Let's bring in internet safety expert Farida Shahid for more on this. Farida, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. So one of the things that's not in that story, but that I heard there from them, is just how difficult it's been to even serve the owners of these websites, because they sort of exist, of course, on these dark, shadowy corners of the web. Explain how these kinds of websites have been able to exist thus far without being taken down.
I mean, the internet is a deep, dark place. We have the dark web, we have the regular web, and there hasn't been enough laws and even the conversation in our communities to make sure that these are taken down. I love that this lawsuit is coming up, and I love that we're having conversations about it, because without this, then the victims will be in this place where they're not going to have support.
This lawsuit in Savannah's report names 16 of the worst websites. Is that just the tip of the iceberg? I mean, do we know how widespread this problem is?
It's more widespread than we can ever imagine. 16 is just, as you said, I would say the shaving of the tip of the iceberg. So the problem is much deeper than we can ever imagine. It's not just random people creating websites. It's also friends, people at school creating deep fakes of other people. So it's more widespread than we can imagine. And so having these conversations and having tools that we can take down the images are really important.
Yeah, they said they're aware actually of at least 90 of these websites. 16 was just what they thought would kind of take at, the bulk of it. And they also recognize it's sort of like whack-a-mole. You try to take one down and who knows what happens next. You mentioned tools to take it down. Tell us, can women or girls track if their face has been used in these images, if they are online? How do you go about getting one removed from the internet? Is that possible?
Absolutely. I mean, the internet is never ending, so it's hard to remove it completely, but you can remove it from social media websites, so that you can go to Google and remove it from Google's search engine. You can go to NCMEC, take it down if you're under 18. If you're over 18, you can go to Stop NCII and have that removed. So there are ways that you can have it removed. It won't work for the entire internet, but it can work for if someone were to search the image on Google, they can't find it easily. Or if someone were to try to share it on social media, it would be stopped. It's not perfect, but we're moving forward in a good direction.
These websites are more prevalent now that AI technology is getting more advanced. That's the bad side of AI technology. Is there a way to use AI to try and fight back and actually stop this?
Absolutely. There's a lot of research, MIT, a lot of labs going on around the United States, UK, Australia, many different places that are fighting to figure out how can we use AI and technology to combat this. There's a lot of pros and cons with different ways of combating this. I personally believe that having these conversations, making sure that teens and women and children don't feel that they are the ones who are the problem. They don't feel that shame that's putting them down a spiral is really, really important as we figure out the laws.
So true. Farida Shahid, thank you very much for joining us. An important conversation. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Coming up, controversy in California over a new law involving minors' social media timelines.
Up next in your weekly check-in, more on that move meant to keep kids away from platforms' algorithms and why critics say it won't work. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. Let's get to our weekly mental health check-in, starting with a major report that shows that mental health is the top health concern in the U.S. and in many other countries.
We're also going to get to new legislation out of California. It's cracking down on what teens see on their social media timelines.
For a breakdown of all that and a little more, let's bring in Dr. Sue Varma. She is a board-certified psychiatrist and the author of Practical Optimism, the Art, Science, and Practice of Exceptional Well-Being. Dr. Varma, good to have you with us. Let's jump right in with this global mental health report from the market research company Ipsos. Researchers surveyed more than, 23,000 people across 31 countries 45% of those respondents say mental health is a big concern. That's for the second year in a row. That puts it ahead of things like cancer, obesity. Do you think this increased awareness is actually leading to better mental health because we're actually talking about it more?
You know, it's tricky because on one hand, like mental health is the top concern out of all of the disorders that you mentioned, including the pandemic. When we look 6 years ago, mental health was number 3, and only 27% of people found that this was a top issue. We're finding that while more awareness is in existence, we also have more problems, right? Like when we're talking about, for example, these deep fake pornography for young women and young adults that we have to worry about increased social media use. We're being bombarded. The challenges keep increasing. So the awareness is there, but if we're not cracking down on the use of technology and digitally for young kids, and what this does is compromising their sleep, their exercise, a variety of things. So awareness is great, but we also have to make resources and access to mental health treatment that's affordable and also culturally sensitive and culturally competent.
Well, let's turn to kids and social media, somewhat related. Maybe things like this can help in some ways. So California Governor Gavin Newsom, he signed new legislation. It's going to try to force tech companies to show minors their social media timelines in chronological order over the next few years. That might sound kind of wonky. What does that mean? Well, the idea here is that that is less addictive than being served content by the algorithm, the all-important algorithm we talk about. So hopefully, therefore, less doom scrolling and that kind of thing for minors. What do you think of that approach?
I think if we were to equate this to the world of, let's say, substance use disorders, in my mind, this new approach is harm reduction. It's saying, okay, we're still going to be using the substance, but we're going to try to mitigate it or try to put it, within some parameters, some control. And that's great. But the question is, should young people still be using it, right? So when, the Surgeon General put out an advisory that really we should not, children below the age of 13 should not be using smartphones. In other countries, they're saying maybe the age of 16 and above. So the question is, it's not how, it's if, right? Should we even be using it, and when, and at what age? Because the reality is that most teens are on their devices 9 hours a day. Some are on it pretty much the entire day that they're awake. This is really interfering with their sleep. They have it by the bedside. It's affecting their academic performance. And what we see in California, that they're trying to limit that the companies cannot, these tech companies can't push notifications during the school day and during night. Parents can change that, of course. So all of these things are making a difference, but it really has to stop in terms of, do we even allow it? Let's put it that way.
For those who are on their phone, something getting millions of views on social media, this idea of lowering our cortisol, that's your body's main stress hormone. We're a little tight on time here, but is focusing on reducing stress in this way helpful?
I'm concerned about it because people are getting confused with what's called Cushing's disorder and moon-like faces, which very few people have, maybe 13 or 14 out of a million at best. And really what we're talking about, stress reduction, but don't connect it to your physical appearance. There's this concept of look maxing where everybody's like, oh, I want a chiseled jaw and I want six-pack abs. If you want to lower your stress reduction simply because you care about your mental health, and you should, then that's a different story. And there's so many ways to do that. Friendship, spending time in nature, getting more sleep, exercising, mindfulness.
All things we need to be doing more of. All right, Dr. Varma, always great to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Time for a look at some money headlines. The Department of Justice is planning to sue Visa, accusing them of illegally monopolizing the debit card market.
CNBC's Savannah Henao has that and some other money news. Savannah, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Savannah. Yes, so the Justice Department plans to file an antitrust lawsuit against Visa, alleging the company has monopolized the debit card market. Bloomberg reports the suit could come as soon as today. Now, the government is preparing to accuse Visa, the world's largest payment network operator, of taking steps to prevent challenges from competitors. Earlier this year, Visa settled a lawsuit filed by Discover's payment network, which claimed it obstructed competition, causing merchants to pay higher fees. Southwest Airlines is warning employees it will soon have to make tough decisions as it tries to boost profits and counter demands from activist investor Elliott Management. CNBC has learned Southwest Chief Operating Officer sent a video message to employees last week saying the airline is considering changes to its flight routes and schedules to increase revenue. It plans to offer assigned seats and extra legroom in some rows to attract premium passengers and will start overnight flights. Southwest will present details to investors on Thursday. And several new emojis are coming to your smartphone and other devices next year. They include one to represent us all, an exhausted face with bags under the eyes. The list also has a root vegetable, harp, fingerprint, shovel, and a purple splatter. The exhausted face won the most anticipated emoji at the World Emoji Awards with more than 60% of the vote, guys.
Is he exhausted or does he just look like Groucho Marx?
It looks a little grouchy, right? Yeah.
I like it.
It's good. It's good. I think we need to
this morning.
adjust it. We need to adjust it a little to really represent our exhausted faces.
Bigger bags under the eyes. Okay.
Thanks, Silvana.
Coming up, he is the brilliant mind behind The Notebook, the popular romance novel that became a box office hit and now a Broadway musical. Now he is out with a new love story.
After the break, we're going to sit down with best-selling author Nicholas Sparks about his newest book. It is out today. Stay with us. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. Finally, this hour, a treat for all the book lovers out there. Our next guest is a highly acclaimed author, really a household name, who's written more than 20 books, and every single one has been a New York Times bestseller.
We're talking about Nicholas Sparks, who's been moving fans to tears with his heart-wrenching, all-consuming love story since 1996, when the world, of course, first fell in love with the classic The Notebook. Sparks also a screenwriter and producer, with nearly half of his novels being adapted for the silver screen.
Talk about some stats there. We're so excited to be joined by Nicholas Sparks here in studio. Good morning.
Hey, thank you for having me. This is great.
This is so fabulous to have you. It is launch day for you for a new book. We've got it right behind, over that shoulder, Counting Miracles.
Counting Miracles.
Your newest novel out. You have written so many. We love them all. What is it like to come out with a new one and hand it over to all of us who just eat them up?
Well, it's different now than it used to be, right?
Yeah.
I've been here and done that, right? Of course, The Notebook, it was like, gosh, I wonder if anyone's even going to find The Notebook in the store.
They did.
Now, it's really exciting. You know, this is a novel I'm really proud to have written. It was challenging in a lot of ways. And it's exciting because I think people are really going to love the story. I'm excited for them to read it.
What can you tell us a little bit about the story?
3 people in the story. The main male protagonist, a guy named Tanner, former military, worked for USAID afterwards. He's goes to his little town, Ashboro, in search of who his biological father is, but he's going to be leaving the country soon. Meets a doctor named Caitlin. She's a divorced mother of 2, raising a couple of kids. And, of course, it's a Nicholas Sparks novel, so some things go on. And then there's if I have to tell you what happens, okay. Then we have the third character, Jasper. He's a little old man, a hermit. He's had a very tragic life. And little by little, these stories intertwine toward the end in a way that I'm hopeful surprises people.
Clearly, you are so prolific. And I think the thread that ties your stories together is we almost feel like we are experiencing the love, the heartache, all that. But where do you get inspiration from? I mean, how do you get these ideas for so many stories?
Great question. And sometimes I wonder that myself. I will say that after every novel, beginning with The Notebook, I finish a novel, it's done, I say, well, that's it. I got no more ideas. That's all I have, right? And of course, I've continued to put them out. They can come from an image. This novel came from an image, an old man injured in the woods with a dog over him. Didn't know who the old man was, who the dog was, how he got injured, but that's how it started. Others, I start with a theme. Others may be inspired by family, like A Walk to Remember was kind of the story of my sister's battle with cancer. So you start with one idea and you just build out until you have a story.
God, let's talk about the adaptations that have come through this. You've worked with Mandy Moore, you mentioned Walk to Remember, Ryan Reynolds, Rachel McAdams, Miley Cyrus. What is it like to watch one of these books? You know, you're an author, but then you end up on these movie sets with these A-listers, and not to mention Broadway. That was a huge milestone for you.
Right. Yeah. I've been very blessed with the producers, the directors, and the cast of all my films, and I think. What's really neat is we're all on the same page always on what do we need to do to make this the best possible film that we can do, even if it differs a little bit from the underlying story. And I'm okay with that change.
You are, okay.
And then you have the actors, and they come in and they have to stretch themselves because they have to make a lot of different emotions feel very real. And I've just been really impressed with the how much diligence they brought to each of these roles. And this goes across the board. I've been incredibly fortunate.
The best part, by the way, about the Broadway show, music written by Ingrid Michaelson, is they sell little tiny boxes of Kleenexes, and you definitely need those little boxes of Kleenexes by the end, just like with the movie. In fact, we could use a bigger box of Kleenex here. We've got like 45 seconds here, but I think it's interesting. You were a pharmaceutical sales rep for years. I think there's so many people out there who want to be a great author, who want to be a writer. They are afraid to make that leap. What is your advice?
You know, well, I was selling pharmaceuticals, which means I had, you know, you work, you're off at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Whenever you're off, you have time in the evening to work, and that's what I did. If you want to be a writer, it comes down to really a couple things. You got to read a lot, and you got to read in a variety of genres, because you got to know how stories work or don't work. And so try to learn from whatever you read. That's one. And then number 2, you got to make time to sit in front of the keyboard or the typewriter or a pad and actually write. And those are the 2 things. Without those 2 things, you're not going to be a writer.
Nicholas Sparks, what a treat. It's so awesome to have you here. Congratulations on the new book. Again, it is out today. Check it out. It's called Counting Miracles, wherever books are sold. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Congrats again.
That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Tuesday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Fryer. Right now on Morning News Now, taking center stage. This morning, President Biden set to deliver his final speech as president to the United Nations General Assembly. This as Iran's new vice president insists he is not seeking a war with Israel as the devastation continues to grow in the Middle East. We are outside the UN with what the president is expected to say in his push for peace. Also developing this morning, mass exodus. U.S. troops heading into Lebanon to help evacuate Americans after Israeli airstrikes led to the deadliest day there in nearly 2 decades. The new warning from Israel's prime minister with the region on the brink. Plus, tropical threat. Florida on alert ahead of what's expected to be the next hurricane. The National Weather Service issuing a hurricane watch and tropical storm warnings as the system churns toward the Gulf Coast. Angie Lassman is tracking this storm and when it could make landfall. And trouble on the tarmac. The holiday travel rush is right around the corner, but the FAA is struggling to stem the shortage of air traffic controllers. The impact that could have on your travel plans and the steps the agency is taking to try to fix the problem. That's on a lot of folks' mind with Thanksgiving now getting pretty close here.
Yeah, that's right.
Make those plans. All right, let's begin this hour with President Biden's major speech to world leaders at the United Nations General Assembly here in New York.
This morning's speech is set to be the president's 4th and final address to the UN. With a host of global challenges and crises to contend with, it could be his most important speech to this international organization yet. NBC News Chief White House Correspondent Peter Alexander has the latest for us.
Good morning to you. When he addresses global leaders here this morning, senior officials say that President Biden's going to argue that his vision for a world where countries come together to solve big problems has, in his words, produced results, real achievements for the American people and for the world. But as President Biden's time in office winds down, he is still dealing with a series of unresolved crises overseas. President Biden this morning preparing for his 4th and final address to the United Nations General Assembly after receiving a surprise award from Bill and Hillary Clinton.
We honor him today, not just for what he's accomplished, but for the way he has done it.
President Biden today will address a series of global challenges, from the climate crisis to the conflicts in the Middle East and Ukraine. And senior officials tell NBC News he'll tout what he views as his greatest accomplishments, including strengthening American alliances. The president recently offering this preview.
We decide to come together and set our future on a fundamentally better path. I believe we can.
Looming over today's gathering, escalating tensions in the Middle East, with Israel and Hezbollah now trading airstrikes.
We're working to de-escalate in a way that allows people to return to their homes safely.
A senior State Department official warning Israel's strategy risks further escalation. 3 defense officials tell NBC News the Pentagon plans to send a few dozen additional U.S. troops to the region in the coming days to help Americans flee if that becomes necessary. There are already roughly 40,000 American troops there. And top of mind for many foreign leaders at the General Assembly, whether former President Trump will be the one delivering the speech here next year, as Trump and his allies argue the wars overseas show President Biden's foreign policy approach is failing.
We have an incompetent leader in Biden, and we have somebody who's worse in this new one that they threw into the ring.
With more than 140 heads of state descending on New York City, the Secret Service says it is confident in its plan to keep them safe, designating it as a national special security event, like the Super Bowl. NBC News was granted exclusive access to this command center that the Secret Service shares with its partners.
Bringing everyone together and making sure we're able to deliver a clear, concise message for event, that's one of our strengths.
And looking ahead to this week at the UN, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is scheduled to address the General Assembly on Thursday. He is facing some pressure, we should note, at home not to leave amid the escalating violence between Israel and Hezbollah. Netanyahu is not expected to meet with President Biden if he does, in fact, come here. President Biden will be in Washington then, where both the president and Vice President Kamala Harris are expected to meet with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky later this week, with Zelensky set to present what he is describing as his victory plan. Former President Trump also expected to meet with Zelensky while he is in town. Back to you.
Peter, thank you very much.
Thousands are evacuating southern Lebanon as Israel and Hezbollah continue to trade cross-border attacks. This comes just one day after the deadliest day in Lebanon in nearly 2 decades. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel has the latest.
Israel insists it is not starting a new war in Lebanon, but simply expanding one that has been going on for the past year. In Lebanon, many people fear that Israel plans to turn large parts of that country into the next Gaza.
An exodus is underway out of southern Lebanon this morning. People are heading north for safety. They're trying to get out of the way of intensifying Israeli airstrikes targeting Hezbollah. Strikes that can come without warning. A Lebanese journalist was recording an interview when Israel is focusing much of its firepower on southern Lebanon, just across the border from northern Israel, where Hezbollah, backed by Iran, has stored rockets, missiles, and drones. Israel is also targeting Lebanon's western Bekaa Valley, which the Israeli military says Hezbollah uses to smuggle in weapons from Syria and Iran. Lebanese health officials say more than 500 people, including children, have been killed by the Israeli strikes so far. As Lebanon braces for a wider war, it's powerless to stop. Hezbollah doesn't run Lebanon, but it's stronger than Lebanon's government and armed forces. And the militant group is still firing rockets and drones. We captured them being intercepted by Israel's Iron Dome.
Hezbollah has managed to score a few direct strikes in Israel, but overall, the amount of damage in Israel has been minimal. It seems that the Israeli military strategy is to overwhelm Hezbollah before the group can carry out an effective counterstrike. Is this going to a land war? It's an air campaign so far. Do you think that's where this is heading?
At the moment, we're focusing on an aerial campaign to remove threats and heavy missiles pointed towards Israelis.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned Lebanese civilians to move 1,000 yards away from Hezbollah military sites. But that assumes people know where they are.
I urge you, take this warning seriously. Don't let Hezbollah endanger your lives and the lives of your loved ones.
Hezbollah says it will stop attacking Israel if Israel stops its war in Gaza. But a ceasefire and hostage deal is deadlocked.
Israel says it will not stop its strikes in Lebanon until Hezbollah is disarmed and pushed further away from the Israeli border.
All right, Richard, thank you.
Well, with just 6 weeks until the election, the candidates are on their final sprint to November. Former President Trump spent yesterday campaigning in the critical swing state of Pennsylvania. It comes as we're learning new details about the apparent second attempt on his life. NBC's Garrett Haight covers the campaign for us and has more from Pittsburgh. Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning. Yeah, Donald Trump was really working western Pennsylvania yesterday, trying to keep his focus on an issue in which he leads in the polls, the economy. That's fitting with Kamala Harris now coming here to Pittsburgh on Wednesday for an economic speech of her own. And the New York Times is reporting headed to the border Friday.
This morning, Vice President Harris looking to tackle a key vulnerability.
As the latest NBC News poll shows Harris trailing Donald Trump on border security, the vice president planning to visit the southern border this week during a trip to Arizona, according to campaign officials. Where another new poll shows her behind the former president, within the margin of error. Former President Trump has been attacking Harris over immigration, including in Pennsylvania last night, where he claimed the issue was one key reason for his 2016 victory.
We will reclaim our sovereignty and restore our borders.
As he fired up supporters in the key battleground state.
Vote early, vote absentee, or vote in person on Election Day.
Trump also focusing on the economy, giving one woman money for her groceries at an earlier stop.
We'll do that for you from the White House, all right? Thank you. All right, bye. Nice seeing you, everybody.
But in the state where a shooter attempted to kill the former president, the two assassination attempts continuing to cast a shadow over his campaign. A Secret Service official telling NBC News the agency is taking a, quote, heightened posture in its protection of the former president, including this agent closely trailing him as he left his plane. Sources also telling NBC News that 1 month before the election, Mr. Trump plans to return to Butler, Pennsylvania, where he suffered an ear injury after he was shot at.
I'm getting very good at learning about weapons. I'm learning a lot about guns.
Meanwhile, in a new court filing, prosecutors introducing chilling new details about the other would-be Trump assassin, Ryan Ruth, who they say targeted Trump at his Florida golf course, saying Ruth gave someone this handwritten letter addressed to the world months ago, which reads in part, quote, "This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump."
Keep walking!
Prosecutors say they recovered a list of Trump's upcoming appearances from Ruth's vehicle. Now, Monday's hearing, defense attorneys for Ruth cross-examined an FBI special agent who said there has been no handwriting analysis on that letter yet, definitively linking it to Ruth. Savannah.
All right, Garrett Haig, thank you.
We are continuing to track a potential tropical cyclone system developing in the Caribbean. Time for your Morning News Now weather.
Angie Lassman's back this hour. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. This is something that folks along the Gulf Coast of Florida are going to want to pay a special attention to here as we get through at least the end of our work week. Here's what's going on right now. You mentioned it, potential tropical cyclone 9, 35-mile-per-hour winds, moving northwest at 9 miles per hour. Still fairly unorganized, but it is expected to get its act together and become a tropical storm by later today. That would be Tropical Storm Helene, and then eventually, as we get into the midweek and beyond, we'll likely see this become a hurricane and potentially a major hurricane, Category 3, by the time it makes its approach to landfall for the state of Florida. We're talking about the West Coast, specifically the Tampa area, points north up into the Big Bend and parts of the Panhandle for that direct landfall here as we get into the late parts of Thursday. This would be a major hurricane making landfall in the state of Florida, the fifth over the past 3 years for the state of Florida. So really impressive stats going along with this, but notice how quickly we're expecting this to intensify. It spends any amount of time over those very warm Gulf waters. That is fuel for this storm. So a major hurricane is what's on tap. Where exactly that makes landfall, that is the big question. But these areas, the Panhandle stretching to the Big Bend area and down towards Tampa Bay, that's where you want to make sure you have those necessary preparations in place over the next couple of days. This system will weaken as it works across the southeast into the Tennessee Valley and bring a little bit of rain to folks there. So this is going to be widespread as far as the rain is concerned. This is a big system, so no surprise that we'll see those impacts far-reaching. Here's the alerts that we have up now. Tropical storm watches, tropical storm warnings, of course, and that hurricane watch that has been newly added for the areas in Florida that I mentioned. Tampa Bay stretching up into the Panhandle. We'll likely see places like Sarasota, Tampa, Cross City, all included in that here for the next couple of days until we see landfall. Now, rainfall amounts upwards of 5-7 inches in some spots, but localized amounts up to 10. So we will have a flash flooding concern. You can see this is for Thursday. And remember, it's late Thursday that we're expecting landfall. But with a system of that size, the impacts are going to extend far out from the center of wherever that is. And some of that does include, of course, the flooding from rain. It also includes storm surge forecasts that are over 10 feet in some spots. Remember, this is worst case scenario for storm surge, but still those lower end numbers, 4 feet in places like Tampa Bay, that's going to be problematic, guys. We'll also see the potential for some hurricane force winds over 90 miles per hour in some spots. Of course, exactly where the center of that is depends, but the power outages, the down trees, all of that will be a possibility.
Thanks, Angie. We know. Keep an eye on it.
Yes.
Coming up, he has sold tens of millions of records and won multiple Grammys. Now he's adding a new accomplishment to his already sterling resume. Still ahead, we're going to sit down with the one and only Michael Bublé.
Woohoo! But first, the holiday travel rush is almost here, and the FAA is working overtime to make sure you get to your destination on time. How they're working to solve the shortage of air traffic controllers up next.
Welcome back. The Federal Aviation Administration is pushing to hire more air traffic controllers amid an ongoing national shortage.
And with just over 2 months until the start of the holiday rush, the agency is adding a second application period for new controllers. It opens up next month. NBC News senior correspondent Tom Costello visited the Air Traffic Control Academy in Oklahoma City and has more for us.
Yeah, the FAA is struggling to hire enough air traffic controllers because 30% quit on the job, usually because of long hours, also working holidays and weekends. They've also got a mandatory retirement age of 56 that the FAA is struggling to keep up with. It just hired 1,800 controllers for this year alone. That's a new all-time record, but it is ramping up the hiring as fast as it can.
Falcon 50 Hotel, turn right heading 020, climb maintain 3000.
At the Air Traffic Control Academy in Oklahoma City, the push is on. Training the next generation of air traffic controllers to plug a shortage of some 3,000 controllers that's contributed to flight delays in New York, Florida, and Southern Cal. The FAA now hiring experienced and military controllers year-round, and opening a second application period starting next month.
If you have a good short-term memory, are able to make a decision, and are flexible in I'll say, like organizing chaos, bringing order to chaos is a great way to describe the career field.
Most new hires spend 3 to 5 months in the academy.
Slow down a little bit.
Fair enough.
You in a rush.
From en-route radar training to tabletop exercises for a hands-on feel to space and time.
Academy Tower, Air Force 50433 Heavy, ready for takeoff.
To advanced simulators.
Runway 28 right and Charlie, clear for takeoff.
The tower simulator can replicate every type of weather condition, from blue skies to fog to rain to blowing snow.
We can actually simulate all types of emergencies right here in the simulator.
So controllers are ready for the real thing.
They're ready for the real thing.
New controller applicants must be U.S. citizens, younger than 31, able to speak English clearly, with at least 1 year of work experience or a combination of work and education. The average age here, 26.
Runway 28 right, cleared for takeoff.
The students who do best?
Those people that grow up gaming, those people that have that ability to see three-dimensional, and again, to think 3 to 4 to 5 steps ahead.
The airline industry says the FAA's hiring surge is a step in the right direction, but more needs to be done to address retirements and attrition.
Do you know what you're going to do with that aircraft, right?
High stress and high stakes. Yeah, again, 3 to 5 months of training at the academy, 2 to 4 years of on-the-job training. The FAA says it'll take 3 to 5 years, maybe 7 years to get to optimal staffing. The union says no way, more like 10 years. So they're looking for young people who can think fast and are cool under pressure. Back to you.
All right, Tom, thank you.
Let's talk more about this with Haley Berg. She's the lead economist at the travel site Hopper. Haley, great to have you with us. So first, this might be a question that many people know from personal pain, the experiences at the airport, how this has impacted them. But just put in perspective, this shortage of air traffic controllers, how has it been impacting airlines and passengers? Like, how bad has it been?
We've seen the shortage of air traffic controllers come through in a few different ways. One is reduction in number of flights coming out of some major hubs. Now, Tom mentioned a few, New York City, most notable. Airlines haven't been able to add more flights, which means that some capacity is strapped. For consumers, that means fewer options. And when there are disruptions, maybe a weather-based delay or cancellation, it's more challenging for airlines to overcome those disruptions and get all of their travelers onto their destinations.
So as we just heard, the FAA has exceeded its hiring targets for this year, but this latest recruitment drive, it's not going to be enough to cope with this holiday travel rush. As Tom mentioned, it's 3 to 5 months of training plus all that on-the-job experience. So at what point do we start to see the fruits of this labor and actually make our trips at the airport a little bit easier?
We're hoping to see the impact really starting next year, but as Tom mentioned, this is a real long-term drive. It's incredible news that they have hired more than 1,800 new air traffic controllers this year. That's more than what they planned to, but it is a long training period. It does take time, and then those locations need to be staffed up. So we don't expect a significant change this holiday season. In coming years, we should see some improvement, but the good news is that disruption rates, those delays and cancellations, are significantly better than what they have been over the previous few years as we head into the holiday season. So there is some good news for travelers. They don't need to worry as much about cancellations and delays.
How are the airlines feeling about this? Is this making them feel better about their partnership with the FAA and getting over that holiday hump better?
It's a step in the right direction. Really, what the airlines are looking for is a large and stable workforce of air traffic controllers so that they can think long term about adding capacity, adding routes, and think a little bit less about optimizing within the number of flights they're allowed to depart from certain airports.
What's the advice you have for passengers, the millions who are going to be traveling over the next few months, especially over the holidays?
You know, the holiday season is busy no matter when you travel or how you travel. The most important thing to keep in mind, especially if you're concerned about disruptions, is planning ahead. Fly on off-peak dates. The Sunday after Thanksgiving is one of the single busiest travel days of the year. Try to avoid peak dates like that. Fly early in the morning. You are half as likely to be delayed or canceled if you take a flight before 9 a.m.
Wow.
And consider adding something like disruption assistance. You can add it to your flight booking on the Hopper app, Capital One, Flair Airlines, a number of our partner websites. And it will allow you to rebook yourself on any available flight if you are disrupted, so you can get onto your destination and worry a little bit less about waiting in customer service lines.
Wow, that's quite a stat. Would you say less than half of a chance if you're before 9 a.m.? That's cool. Haley, thank you so much. Good to see you.
Great to be with you.
Turning now to the record-breaking wildfires burning out of control across South America. In the Amazon, the fires are devouring the drought-ridden rainforest and forcing communities to leave everything behind. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has more.
In northern Argentina, it's a race to safety as wildfires rage across the region and the continent, defying borders. The inferno's turning deadly in Peru, killing at least 15 people and scorching through more than 120,000 acres of rainforest. In Bolivia, families like this one forced to evacuate, leaving everything they know behind. Bolivian cattle ranchers desperately try to protect their herds, already losing several to the flames. And in Ecuador, it's pets that families don't want to leave behind.
Pánico, no sabíamos ni qué hacer, la candela ya venía encima de nosotros ya.
While in Brazil, fires burn across two massive areas, including the Amazon.
Muito preocupado com todo mundo. Não é só uma, não, todo mundo.
The continent seeing 346,000 wildfire hotspots this year, according to Brazil's space agency, the highest number on record. NASA imagery showing the vast scale of those fires blanketing the continent. Hotter and drier weather due to climate change, experts say, has made fire conditions more dangerous in recent years.
How much have humans played a role in contributing to what you're seeing there in Brazil?
Humans have a tremendous role, both in causing global warming, all the deforestation and so forth that is leading to the ignitions of these fires. It has to start with a spark somewhere.
Brazil currently experiencing a relentless drought. Low water levels drying out habitats enough to beach and kill dolphins in the Amazon and create tinderbox conditions. Climate protesters demanding action and for corporations to be held responsible. This protester saying, we saw over 500 hotspots linked to the burning of sugarcane to clear land for the farming industry here in Brazil. The burning only adding to emissions. Fires in Brazil releasing over 180 megatons of carbon, on track to be the worst in 20 years.
The Amazon is starting to go from being a sink, which means on average is taking carbon out of the system, to a source. It's putting even more carbon into the system. That's really quite alarming.
Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva admitting the fires took many by surprise.
90% da cidade, sabe, estão despreparadas para cuidar disso.
Calling on world leaders at the UN General Assembly this week to tackle the massive-scale climate crisis that knows no borders.
Our thanks to Valerie Castro for that report.
Coming up, a new study is shedding light on head injuries in football.
What researchers are saying about the number of players diagnosed with CTE and what it could mean for their futures. We're back now with one of the most extensive surveys we've seen from former NFL players on how they feel about their own brain health after years of repeated hits to the head. The study published yesterday now sheds new light on just how worried former players are about the neurodegenerative brain disease known as CTE. The disease has been in headlines most recently because of NFL star Tua Tagovailoa, who's now facing calls to retire after suffering the latest concussion of his professional career.
And this morning, the study shows that about a third of former NFL players say they think they have CTE. That is according to the JAMA Neurology study. It's a disease that can result from too many concussions or other head injuries. It's got no cure, and it cannot be diagnosed in living patients.
Neurologist Dr. Shea Dada is here to explain further. She's also the co-director of the NYU Langone Concussion Center. Good to have you with us, Doctor. So first of all, I mean, just walk us through some of the highlights or perhaps lowlights from this survey and how might it help players in the future as we continue to discuss this.
Sure, thank you. The survey was one of a kind because it actually took about 2,000 players spanning their lifetime in terms of, and the average age was about 58, and they responded to questions about what they thought, if they thought they had CTE. So it's like perceived CTE, you know, with questions screening for depression, mood issues, memory loss, and a host of other things that they look for in terms of it being chronic or developing several years after their careers ended in the NFL.
So one of the most... Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. And the basic outcome was that about 700 out of these 2,000 players answered that they felt that they had CTE.
One of the most challenging aspects, right, of CTE, as we just mentioned, is you can't confirm a diagnosis while the person is still living. First, if you wouldn't mind explaining that to us, why that is, and then what you think when you see these players in the survey report some of those things that you just mentioned, cognitive impairment, depression, suicidal thoughts. Is there anything that can be done to treat them while they are living?
Yes, I mean, all very, very good questions, and these are things that we're continuously struggling to answer, but we have gotten closer. The reason that we cannot tell someone for certainty that they have CTE is because it's a post-mortem diagnosis. We need to take the brains of someone who has passed away, put it under a microscope, and see if they have certain things that build up, like neurofibrillary tangles or certain waste products that haven't been cleared enough, and then they develop early Alzheimer's or shrinking of the frontal lobe or the hippocampus, which is for memory, or the frontal lobes also are something that help us sort of control our impulses, right? So a lot of people have problems with impulse control. And the other thing is that there were some guidelines called traumatic encephalopathy syndrome in 2021 that were revised that can be applied to see if they meet the criteria for CTE while they're still alive, although not a lot of my colleagues or I really do it in clinical practice. But if I have a suspicion, then certainly all the symptoms that they present with can be treated with proper medication and rehab, but to a certain extent. We're not going to get them back where they were pre-football career, but certainly having the support of, psychologists, proper neurologists, PM&R, we can get them to the way where they can lead a life that is actually meaningful, hopefully, without pain and memory loss. We can't really do too much about, but pain as well as depression, we can help.
Here's a staggering number. More than 300 former NFL players have been posthumously diagnosed with CTE. We know who's at a higher risk, athletes who've been repeatedly hit to the head. Just real quick, we're tight on time here, but what can athletes do now to just try and minimize that risk?
Right. So as we know, helmets do not prevent concussion, but that does not mean you're not going to wear helmets. That does prevent long-term sort of like C-spine or head fracture risk. But being aware of the symptoms, sitting out when there is an issue, and getting in with the right team, doctors, and listening to them when they make recommendations is the best way to prevent concussions. And then, proper warm-up, as well as making sure that you're ready for play when you're actually getting back in the game.
All right, Dr. Shaydada, important conversation. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Certainly a talker right now. Thank you. Let's stay on our health. The CEO of the company that makes Ozempic and Wegovy, those weight loss drugs, he's set to face questions on Capitol Hill this morning about the cost of the drugs.
Drug maker Novo Nordisk's boss will appear before the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. The head of that committee, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, has accused the company of, quote, ripping off the American people. NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here with more on this one. Christine, good morning.
Good morning to both of you. While the high prices are making it difficult for millions of Americans with obesity and diabetes, companies are making record-breaking profits from the drugs. Novo Nordisk estimated to make $65 billion on both Ozempic and Wegovy by the end of the year.
The cost of popular weight loss drugs taking center stage this morning, with a hearing on the pricing of Wegovy and its diabetes maintenance counterpart, Ozempic.
Discover the power of Wegovy.
Users of weight loss drugs have been outraged over the price.
My sticker price with insurance was $600.
I personally pay a very hefty amount.
According to a Senate report, without insurance, a month's supply of Wegovy is nearly $1,350 in the U.S., but the same prescription is $186 in Denmark, $140 in Germany, and only $92 in the United Kingdom. Now, the issue traveling all the way to Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are examining the high prices. Senator Bernie Sanders, who's leading the hearing, pushing for manufacturers to make medication like Ozempic more affordable, including selling a generic version for $100 a month.
In some cases, we are now paying 15 times more than the people in other countries.
Novo Nordisk telling NBC News Monday more than 80% of Americans with insurance pay $25 or less per month for Ozempic. The company adding in a statement it will continue to cooperate with policymakers on real solutions.
I went from paying $25 for a monthly supply to now they want close to $1,000 for a monthly supply of the medication, which is like astronomical.
In North Carolina, insurance coverage for weight loss drugs was cut for state employees like Kiana Price. She says she can no longer afford her Wegovy prescription to help with prediabetes.
This is like stopping cold turkey, and you don't know what's going to happen.
We also reached out to the Eli Lilly, that's the manufacturer of Mounjaro and Zepbound, who told us, quote, today we're leading the way in access and affordability, launching Zepbound at a list price 20% lower than our competitor and offering single-dose vials at a 50% or greater discount compared to other GLP-1 medicines for obesity.
All right, Christine Romans, has there been any recent success in Washington for reducing the price of medication for Americans? I know we've heard a little bit about some negotiations going on.
So we know that for insulin, right, the Inflation Reduction Act limited insulin to $35 a pop. And we know that also that same legislation capped out-of-pocket Medicare expenses at $2,000. But that's not specifically for these weight loss drugs, where there's just a lot of interest overall. And Medicare does cover Wegovy for heart-related stroke and high blood pressure and that sort of thing. So that was a way in. But mostly the problem here is that 20 years ago in the fen-phen diet drug phase, the Congress made it illegal for Medicare to pay for weight loss drugs because of that. And so now they have to figure out how to get Medicare to approve these drugs. And sometimes when Medicare does, then all the other big insurers follow suit.
Fen-phen. Haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, right? Blast from the past, right?
Thanks, Christine.
Nice to see you.
Coming up, a team on the verge of breaking a notorious record.
Yeah, after the break, we're going to hear from Chicago White Sox fans as their team sits on the precipice of baseball infamy. We're back now with some financial headlines. TikTok has removed accounts linked to Russian media outlets from its platform.
CNBC's Silvana Henao joins us with that and more. Hey, Silvana.
Hey, Savannah. Hey, Joe. Yeah, so TikTok has removed accounts belonging to Russian state-run media RT and Sputnik for what the social media app calls covert influence operations. TikTok says they violated its community guidelines, including its ban on deceptive behavior. The bans follow allegations by the Biden administration that RT acts as an arm of Russia's spy agencies. Meta and YouTube have also suspended Russian state media accounts, but they are still active on X. Boeing has made a best and final offer to thousands of striking workers in the Pacific Northwest, but the machinists union won't put it to a vote, saying Boeing has refused to bargain over the proposal that falls short of members' demands. Boeing offered to reinstate performance bonuses and improve retirement benefits if workers accept the offer by Friday. Boeing is under intense pressure to end the strike that could cost it billions of dollars, with production halted on several of its top-selling planes. And Meta plans to announce this week its secured deals with several actors, including John Cena, Kristen Bell, and Judi Dench, to use their voices for its AI chatbot. Reuters reports the new audio feature will let users choose a voice for the digital assistant from a list of celebrities, as well as several generic voice options. Meta will unveil the feature at its Connect conference, which starts tomorrow, and will start launching it this week across Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Just going all in on AI.
No kidding. I feel like Judi Dench will be a popular option.
Probably.
It's interesting to see, though, contracts like that made, right? When we've seen not that happen.
They can control it, I guess.
Right.
So there you go. All right, Savannah, thank you.
You got it. Let's turn to the climate now and a U.S. company's innovative scheme to remove carbon from the air. NBC News national climate reporter Chase Kane is reporting on the potentially huge impact for the fight against climate change.
In the heart of oil country, signs of transition are all around. It might look like a gravel parking lot right now, but once Heimdall covers the ground in these small white pellets, they'll absorb carbon dioxide as wind blows over them.
It sounds simple, and maybe people are like, okay, what's the catch?
Yeah, I'm waiting for that too. What is the catch? Calcium looping has been known for a long time.
Calcium looping involves limestone, a common type of rock humans have been using since 9000 BC.
So here's how it can be applied to carbon capture. You start with limestone, which is mostly calcium carbonate. They heat it up to remove the carbon and add water, and then you've got calcium hydroxide, which looks like this. It's also known as slaked lime. And from Heimdall, it looks like this, like these white pellets. And when these are exposed to the air, a natural reaction takes place with that calcium hydroxide. It's pulling carbon dioxide out of the air, combining and essentially recreating that calcium carbonate that you started with. So they can heat this back up, pull out the carbon dioxide, and start the process all over again.
The catch to it is that
Susan Brantley is a geochemist at Penn State University and explained that this process requires energy. In this case, Heimdall's using fossil gas instead of wind or solar.
making the grains that they put out, that costs energy. Burning off the CO2, that costs energy. And then, getting the CO2 down into the ground costs energy. So basically, it's a tax, on the whole process that's producing the CO2 in the first place.
It is energy intensive, but those combustion gases will be sequestered, but it's a good starting point. I like psychology a lot, and there's this nirvana fallacy where you try to perfect things too much, right? There's no point in doing it unless it's going to be perfect. This is an imperfect solution, but we will continuously chase perfection from here on. But this is also a way to do this big and do this now. That's the point.
The latest United Nations climate report underscores that carbon capture is necessary to quickly address climate change. And that's part of why Heimdall started capturing carbon while still waiting for EPA approval to store that carbon dioxide deep underground.
That's a very important point, is this isn't optional. CO2 emissions have a price. What matters is that ultimately there needs to be some economic value to removing CO2.
And if all proves successful, the company's founder says the potential here might sound almost too good to be true.
So for a billion tons of CO2 per year, say, which is on the lower end of what the IPCC estimates the climate system is going to need of carbon removal, we're talking, 1 million acres. That is less than 0.1% of the state of Texas. So we can literally completely undo the damage that has been caused in the last few centuries of industrial revolution.
In Shiloh, Oklahoma, I'm national climate reporter Chase Kane.
Baseball's regular season is drawing to a close, and Chicago White Sox fans are on edge this morning. The team is just one heartbreaking loss away from becoming the worst Major League Baseball club in history. Their next game is tonight against the Los Angeles Angels. And while that's happening, rumors are circulating that after a century on the south side of Chicago, the stadium could be moved to a new home. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa spoke to some fans about all of it.
It's a lively crowd on a Friday night in Chicago. 26,000 strong, here to root on the White Sox. The big question we have, why?
We still show up, but we gotta do better because this is horrible.
It's rough. It's rough. Yeah. Emotional damage, if you will.
We're kind of numb to the pain at this point.
We're asking because the team isn't exactly a fun watch right now.
Oh, no! Oh, my goodness. The White Sox have just gone full White Sox.
That's just one of the many embarrassing ways the White Sox have lost this year. They fired their manager months ago. They've scored the fewest runs and given up the most. Dead last in home runs. It's a recipe for 120 losses. That's tied for the most in the modern era with the 1962 New York Mets. And with just 6 games until the 2024 season is mercifully over, standing alone with that worst record is looking all too likely. But the stakes are bigger for White Sox fans. Reports earlier this year that the team's owner, Jerry Reinsdorf, wanted $1 billion in public funding from the city and state to build a new stadium raised eyebrows because Guaranteed Rate Field isn't even old enough to run for president yet. Local politicians say they're skeptical.
We've seen other teams be able to support their own stadiums privately.
Studies show publicly funded stadiums have little to no tangible economic impacts on their hosts, and public subsidies are often larger than the benefits.
No one really believes it's going to happen because there's no appetite for public funding, especially not for Jerry Reinsdorf, especially not for the White Sox.
One place that has been open to public funding, Tennessee, with billions going to the Titans for their stadium. MLB has said it's not ready for expansion yet, but the city is reportedly on the short list, which may be why the White Sox owner met with Nashville's mayor in December, though the nature of those discussions were not disclosed. Since then, Reinsdorf reportedly said he would contribute some money for a stadium and pushed back on speculation he wants to move the team. The White Sox did not respond to our request for comment, but it still made some fans nervous.
Hopefully they stay in the city and the rumors of them leaving are false.
For the youngest fans, it's not all about the losses.
Is it a good season for the Sox? It is. For me.
Hope for fans of the future, even if today's team is the worst ever. Maggie Vespa, NBC News.
I will say Guaranteed Rate Field is not a great ballpark.
Because she goes, not a fun watch.
Not my favorite.
Maggie, that was hilarious. Coming up, we are catching up with crooner Michael Bublé.
What the 5-time Grammy winner told us about his new job as a coach on The Voice. That is next.
Welcome back. HBO is celebrating 30 years of Friends with a new game show. The 4-part competition series is called Fast Friends, and it's heading to Max. And where else would it be filmed but right here in New York City, of course. The team is recreating some of the sitcom's iconic sets, like the coffee shop and Monica's apartment, over at the Friends Experience. It's right in the heart of Manhattan. And what would Friends be without a little friendly competition? Players will answer trivia questions and puzzles about the show. Only true fans will get to wear the ultimate Friends fan crown. Production kicks off in October, but there's no release date yet. So we will just have to keep watching reruns for now.
I feel like there are some folks who will nail that trivia because they watch it thoroughly.
Yes.
All right. Finally this hour, he is known as the keeper of the Great American Songbook. Singer and songwriter Michael Bublé has won 5 Grammys, sold more than 75 million albums, has stars on both Hollywood and Canada's Walks of Fame. Oh, yeah, and he's one of the top touring artists of all time.
And this week, the multi-platinum superstar is adding 2 more accomplishments to his long and illustrious career. Last night, Bublé made his debut as a coach on NBC's The Voice, and on Friday, he's debuting a greatest hits album. Well, Joe and I just got to sit down with him. Here's some of our conversation. Michael, good morning. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning, and thank you for agreeing to sing with me.
Not exactly. We would never
Oh, darn,
ruin...
we forgot the band. There's no setup here.
And we would never ruin a moment to hear you sing by singing at the same time. Okay, so you're having a huge week.
Yeah,
this is exciting.
It's really exciting, yeah.
Let's start on the new album, The Best of Bublé. I mean, so exciting to basically get a best of career hits album. What is it like to put something like this together? And I know we're going to get a couple new songs as well.
It's sentimental and it's emotional. And, you know, I've spent a long time loving music and loving, you know, I say it all the time, but I'm like a chef who loves what he cooks, but more I love who I cook for. And to have that connection with all these beautiful souls for all this time, and all the producers and my co-writers and all the people that love me enough, you know, that I'm here at this place with you. It's hard not to be sentimental about it all. I mean, and appreciative. It's crazy.
You are getting a little bit emotional.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Let's talk about the other big thing this week. We have a subtle hint behind you.
I see. Yeah, that's my seat right there.
There you go.
Right there.
You're number two? Number two?
No, I'm number one.
Oh, you're number
I'm
one.
number one.
Ooh, you're number one. Hell
yeah. Snoop and I are on the opposite ends.
You're the bookends. Yeah. So, I mean, what is it like to be on The Voice? I know you were a mentor like in season 3, which must have been when you were like 12 years old. I mean, how does it feel to be on The Voice?
You know what? Honestly, it is I understand why it has become destination television. I get why it's lasted, however long it's been, 14 years. It starts with the producers, the crew. These people have been there all that time. They are class acts from the top down. There's a lot of integrity, and not just, you know, in caring about us as coaches, obviously, but I think caring about the artists, the people that come and bear their souls on this thing. And there's a lot of care, and I think that now I look at the people that I'm on this program with. I look at Snoop and I look at Reba and Gwen. There are not better people. We become family, but one of my favorite things is the empathy. You know, Snoop and Reba and Gwen and I have been, there's a million times we've heard no, or we failed, or we've hit roadblocks, and we see that in these artists that are coming up here. And I think that there's a lot of love going back and forth, and I think that right now this world kind of needs that. I think that's. I think The Voice is going to bring a lot of people happiness. I do.
People might not know also that you were actually part of a talent competition show early on.
Really? How did you know that? I did everything. Honestly, I sang at shopping malls. I was at, you know, bars and clubs and yeah, I was in a couple of talent things and karaoke, anything, just anything that I could do to get my break.
Yeah, but you sort of have empathy. You know what it's like then to be in that position where
it's
kind of like it's riding on somebody else.
I think like I look at somebody like Gwen, who, you know, at 17 years old was playing in her garage with her band, and it took her 10 years. The way, you know, she tells it all the time. She can't believe she's in this position. She never thought she'd get on the radio, never thought she'd have her break, and you can tell when she speaks to these people that she genuinely cares about them. And by the way, just so you know, I know their strategy. I know it's a TV show, and I know it's a game, but it's not a game to any of us. And what happens, and I can't get further than this because I can't, you know, tell you, divulge, you know, who's in and out, but I can speak for Reba and Snoop and I and Gwen when I say that many times when the journey is over for the artist, it still isn't over with us. You know, we still, you know, we're giving them the numbers and trying to help them and see if we can advocate for them, whether they're on this TV show or not. So it's real for us. We get it.
That is awesome to hear that. Okay, I have to ask you, what's it like to be you with the holidays approaching and hearing you everywhere?
It's about to be Michael Bublé season.
Well, you know what's crazy is that you would think Christmas, right?
Yes.
But what do you think happens at Valentine's Day?
Oh.
I hear myself then too, and then Mother's Day comes along, and I am hearing myself in perfume stores and shopping with my wife. Not as many elevators as you might think. You know what? It is. Can you imagine how it must feel for me to be invited into? I say this all the time. I mean, at the best time of the year, when people are at their kindest. And I'm invited to be a part of that world. And even further, my heroes, Sinatra, Bennett, Martin, Elvis, you know, all these, you know, iconic figures. The thing that sort of puts you into that place, weirdly, is each one of them, the common denominator is each one of them has their holiday record. You know, they have that sort of thing. And so I didn't realize it at the time, but when that happened for me, you know, it had a big impact on my life and allowing me to advocate and fight for the Great American Songbook and be one of the lucky ones who gets to continue the legacy of my heroes. God, that was so eloquent, the way I said it.
That's very good.
Sometimes I talk and it comes out and I don't know. Because in my head, if you saw it, it was just two potatoes just smacking into each other. And then it comes out like that.
It's beautiful mashed potatoes.
Holy God, he's a genius.
That was amazing. Are we ever going to get another Christmas special?
Maybe. I love doing those Christmas specials. As the last one, Lorne Michaels produced, and I'm in love with Lorne Michaels, and I'm in love with his mind and his passion and the integrity, and I had the best time. So, Lorne, give me a call.
Yeah. we love that.
I think he's not too far around here.
I feel like with the voice and
yeah.
And I've got other stuff happening that we'll talk about another time. I mean, I've got a beautiful whiskey that's called Fraser and Thompson that I'm out there trying not to drink all of, but I'm enjoying, you know,
a
pushing
little
it.
too much.
As much as possible. But there's a lot of stuff happening, and so I don't know. You guys want to do a special with me?
Yeah.
What should we sing?
I don't know. I think we should start here by just I don't know.
I feel like you could give us just like, what's your favorite on your Christmas album?
Oh God, they're all my favorite. They're all my favorites. I love Blue Christmas and White Christmas and Red Christmas. And
I feel like
we are going to spare our audience us singing.
No, I really do. Can we just end this segment by just L is for the way you look at me. Just one. Yeah,
I don't think I should do it.
My grandma's favorite song, by the way.
I love your grandma.
There you go.
She is a sexy, sexy lady.
She is.
Michael, thank you so much. Congratulations on a huge week.
Thank you guys so
We're
much.
so excited to have you come back at Christmas
Thank you for having me, and thank you for building this beautiful set for me. Oh my God, you guys treat me so good.
So great to have you. Thank you so
guys.
much.
Congrats on everything.
Thank you. Well, that was no fun at all.
He is a hoot. And he was still like that when the camera was done rolling, taking
1,000,000%.
pictures with everyone. Just the nicest guy in the world. So we
Your
wish
grandma,
him
huh?
all the best. And he says my grandma's sexy. So there you go. That is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.